So I think Paul Saladino is one of the best mainstream doctors, I suppose. A lot of you guys have been asking me to review him, so today we're going to be checking out his short form content. Let's go.
This is a breakfast from Starbucks, a double chocolate chip frappuccino and a blueberry muffin, and it's full of garbage, including 81 grams of processed sugar. Let me show you guys what that looks like. All of that is in there. That's probably not good for you. There are many better ways to eat breakfast.
Probably.
An animal-based breakfast, scrambled eggs, a burger patty, raw milk with honey, some fruit.
Nope, not raw milk with honey, but scrambled eggs, burger patty, really good. Again, pretty overcooked. You know when you scramble eggs, the yolk's overcooked. I don't see why you'd add in honey into raw milk. Honey has no nutrition. It's just fructose and glucose. Again, raw milk, I wouldn't do it unless you're in development.
Choosing this for breakfast is gonna make you fat, sick, and unhealthy. I mean, look at that, guys. It's a whole plate full of processed sugar right in there.
Yeah, you're going to just have the Randall cycle super upregulated. The thing I'm going to title this video, Paul Saladino, Close But No Cigar, because he is always so close, but always a little bit wrong. Like, I don't see why you would add in raw milk with honey. Like, why add in honey? For taste? Just to add in sugar for no reason? Why would you add that into a source of fat? Why would you have sugar and fat at the same time? It makes no sense at all. And I get raw milk. Yeah, it has lactose, has casein proteins. Again, that's worse than just eating meat. But, you know, raw milk is packed with nutrition. I get that. But why, as a 50-year-old man, are you drinking milk? Makes no sense.
All calories are not created equally.
True.
Weight loss does happen if you're in a caloric deficit. This is thermodynamics.
Can't be in a caloric deficit. As a human, you can't. Well, if you're in a heat energy deficit, I hope you get warm sometime soon. But in the way he means, you cannot be in a caloric deficit.
Right? Yes, you can lose weight eating 1,500 calories of donuts per day.
But you're not eating 1,500 calories. What you're eating is 1.5 donuts per day. The reason you're losing weight is because you're in a food mass deficit. You're in a macronutrient deficit. And it's not calories. You're just in a food mass deficit, not a calorie deficit. If you limit your food enough, then the descriptor known as calories will tell you you're in a calorie deficit. They'll say, oh, you're losing weight because you're in a calorie deficit. No, you're just fucking barely eating. There is a base amount of food mass you need to not lose weight. Again, this will be influenced by hormones like insulin, which is why I challenge anyone, find out your supposed calorie maintenance, go 200 calories under, and then eat a 50-50 split between fat and glucose. How will your weight loss be compared to someone who would eat 2,300 calories of just fat and protein from animal foods? It would be 9 day. Of course, also the animal foods, their water retention would plummet, to be fair, so it wouldn't even be close in terms of actual total weight lost. One would retain muscle, one would be losing maybe some muscle and gaining fat. It's just, yeah.
You will not be healthy, and I guarantee you will be very hungry. And when you
That's true, your ghrelin will be off the charts, typically.
Stop keeping yourself in a calorie-restricted prison, you will overeat and you will binge and you will gain that weight back because you have impaired your mitochondrial electron transport chain because of the poisonous, I would say toxic additives in these foods. This is a crazy debate that happens on X and these forums. People will advocate all foods fit, Sean. That is the rallying cry of dietitians all over the world. All foods fit, just don't eat too much. This is why things like Weight Watchers were created. And you see those little snack packs of Oreos that says 150 calories. And it's okay to eat junk food as long as you don't exceed your caloric threshold. What we're not being told is that additives, ingredients in these ultra-processed foods impair our ability to make energy from them. They're poisonous to our metabolism. They're poisonous to the very things that give us life.
Absolutely. And also, I mean, yeah, let's say you do a caloric restriction and then you eat junk food, you're just going to be malnourished. If you're eating 1,500 calories of donuts a day, let's say, yeah, you'll lose some weight because you're just starving yourself. So you'll enter autophagy in a starvation state, not in a fulfilled state where you can enter autophagy with low insulin levels. Your insulin levels will be low because you're just not eating anything at all. Yeah, you'll just be missing nutrition, so you'll feel like shit. You'll be unhealthy. You'll be damaging your body. But you know, to most of these sort of mainstream people, it's just, what does the scale say? That's what health is, your weight. Not at all. It's so much deeper than that, obviously.
Are you guys taking methylene blue? A lot of people are in the health space now, but I have my concerns. You've seen the blue tongues out there. Did you know that methylene blue actually also turns your brain blue and it can turn your heart blue? I don't know about this, guys. Look, it works by moving electrons down the electron transport chain in your mitochondria. Good for someone that has a block in the mitochondrial electron transport chain, but most of us don't have that. Even if you're not the most metabolically healthy person, this is not the way to fix your mitochondria. A lot of people in the health space—
Yeah, it's called stopping the consumption of fructose specifically, which is probably the biggest mitochondrial poison, but Paul pushes that too, so we'll see what he says.
Are saying that it improves mitochondrial function.
And deuterium actually, which he also pushes, which, as you guys may know, probably not a lot of you know about deuterium, but fruits and vegetables have unideal deuterium levels.
Nothing could be further from the truth. If you don't have a frank block in your mitochondrial electron transport chain, methylene blue is actually decreasing the amount of ATP produced in your cells. Lower energy production is bad for humans. That is not a health hack. People think they feel better on methylene blue because it changes serotonin levels in your brain. Methylene blue is an MAOA, a monoamine oxidase A inhibitor. It's a strong one. This means it can cause serotonin syndrome if you're taking antidepressants or other compounds that increase serotonin in your body, like 5-HTP, rhodiola, SAMe, or St. John's wort. For most people, methylene blue is worsening your energy production, but you are being misled by the fact that MAOA inhibition is raising serotonin, making you feel a certain way that is not reflective of increased function in your mitochondria or better energy production. If you are generally healthy, if you don't have genetic defects,
don't do methylene blue. It's just stupid.
Transport chain, this is not for you.
So why does Paul then push foods that are high in deuterium and high in fructose if he's worried about mitochondrial function? Why would you be pushing honey if you're worried about mitochondrial function? That might be the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Makes no sense.
You think this is a paper cup? No, this is a
it's plastic.
cup. Yeah. Watch this.
Paper cups aren't just paper.
I already know about this.
Why are you anti-reishi or anti-mushroom?
So my experience was that when I was taking large doses of these mushroom extracts, I had a massive eczema reaction. It's just a correlation for me. There often are compounds in plants.
Why as a human would you be taking a mushroom extract? It's just not our natural diet.
That we think of as beneficial. The question that I find intriguing to ask about plant foods or fungi, like mushrooms, is do the benefits outweigh the risks? So my experience and what I've heard from other people is that in some individuals, too many mushrooms can trigger the immune system. And that kind of makes sense because they do have these peptides in them that can look like immune epitopes. So they can look like immune receptors in our human body. And many of the benefits, quote unquote, of the mushrooms are immune, meaning that in laboratory studies, they seem to affect the immune system somehow, like lion's mane. And so the question is, are they overstimulating the immune system? Could they be triggering an autoimmune reaction for some people? In my experience, they clearly were triggering an autoimmune reaction.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. Again, we see time and time again, when you cut plants out of your diet, like all plants, you just go to bare bones, healthy meat, grass-fed beef, and water. Autoimmune issues, inflammatory conditions, diseases, they ameliorate. They go away. Time and time again. There's just no defense compounds especially in well-raised animals. You know, you can run into some issues when you're eating a bunch of pork and chicken raised in captivity fed grains and soy. But if you get good quality meat, okay, and you just eat it for a month, see what happens to your acne, see what happens to your inflammatory diseases, conditions, see what happens to your depression. Just see it for yourself. Give it a try. Okay, you're not going to die. You're not going to become deficient. You're actually going to have really good nutrition when you just eat a bunch of meat, egg yolks, things like that, seafood, wild caught. You're going to have the best nutrition you've ever had objectively, but just see what happens.
When I was 15, I just started going to the bathroom 8, 9, 10 times a day, not digesting any food, because Crohn's disease is when your immune system
because you weren't eating real food,
attacks itself, and it feels like someone's stabbing you in the gut with like a knife constantly. I lost 50 pounds, which is crazy because I was already relatively lanky. I'm on a pretty extreme medicine called Remicade, where just basically you nuke your immune system.
Oh
I just got flu. I got COVID 6 times. I got shingles. Like I get sick all the time. I had like random rashes and things like that.
I think Godis actually made a video on how he could help Mr. Beast, and he was absolutely right. You just need to get rid of all the plants and seeds from your diet.
Brutal.
Okay, this is super important to know, guys. I have seen so many people reverse and heal from ulcerative colitis and Crohn's, guys, by changing their diets.
Of course, but Mr. Beast he eats like shit. We've seen what he eats in his videos. He literally eats his own products when he has Crohn's disease. Is he a dumbass? Why would you be eating chocolate, which is made of seeds, with oxalates, phytic acid, lectins, and sugar if you have Crohn's disease? Makes no sense.
By eating animal-based meat and fruit, Western medicine.
No, not fruit. Nope. you can still have Crohn's disease triggered even from fruit, because berries are a fruit, right? Like if you're eating raspberries, you know, all the oxalate content could still disrupt your Crohn's disease. The right recommendation, he is attached to fruit now. He knows what really heals, and what healed his conditions was carnivore. That's what initially healed his conditions, okay? Now, he personally was able to add back in fruit and dairy. That is not the case for everyone. You need to recommend the ultra elimination diet for people with Crohn's disease. You need to fiber out of the diet, absolutely, okay? Especially if you're having gut irritation, gut lining irritation.
Doctor, I was taught the same thing that Mr. B says. Your immune system is attacking your body. We don't know why it happens. Guess what? He was eating garbage. He says this all the time. You're eating garbage food. That's why your immune system is attacking itself. So this is my message to Mr. Beast. You can fix your Crohn's disease without medications, very likely.
100%.
I know so many people who have come off Remicade and other meds by changing the quality of the foods they eat. If you've had an autoimmune condition improved, put it in the comments, because I want to hear from you guys, from your stories.
I haven't particularly had an autoimmune condition improve, but by basically significantly reducing and almost completely eliminating plant foods from my diet, I did fix my inflammatory skin condition, which is acne.
I know that's going to blow your mind, but this is everything you need to know about which oils to use for cooking. Margarine, garbage. Don't ever touch it. Don't ever buy it. Don't ever look at it. Seed oils, canola oil, horrible.
Garbage.
Don't eat seed oils. Get them out of your life. This might
They're just full of linoleic acid that will store in your tissues.
surprise you guys. Avocado and olive oil. These are mostly monounsaturated, but they still have lots of polyunsaturated fats. And so when you heat them up, they're going to become rancid. They're going to become damaged. They're going to become unstable. So don't cook with avocado or olive oil. It's going to damage the oils. What I would use for cooking are more stable saturated oils, solid at room temperature. You're heating the oil anyway if you're using it for cooking. Coconut oil is good. My preferred
It's not as bad as the others.
oils for cooking, if I'm going to heat them in a pan, are tallow, which is rendered
Good. Of course, you never need to cook your food. If you're going to cook your food, then I'd use tallow.
beef fat or raw butter. And if you're going to be heating it hot, use ghee because it's clarified butter and it won't burn. The smoke point of an oil is not the same as its peroxidation index. Peroxidation index tells you when the oil is going to become damaged and oxidized. The smoke point just tells you when it's going to start burning on the pan. So if you're going to cook with an oil, my preferred is tallow, coconut oil, butter, or ghee, not this stuff.
Don't put coconut oil in the same category, but way better than, something like canola oil, of course.
Oh, if you thought your salmon was bad, look at this for ahi. Oh my God.
They're going to inject it with color. They're going to put chlorine in it to kill the smell. They're going to make this look like it's supposedly fresh. And you as a consumer are going to be
One of the biggest, this is one of the biggest downsides of capitalism is how it affects our food. It's very unfortunate.
No clue what you're actually eating in the grocery store, and they fool you as the consumer because this is factory fishing, just like factory farming. All that's nasty.
I did not know that they are marinating the fish in this carbon monoxide solution to preserve it. I've done a lot of videos on salmon and how farmed salmon is basically white unless they add coloring to it in their feed. This with wild ahi or ahi.
Oh man, there's actually ways that they set regulations to not let these companies treat the animals so terribly, yet then the companies find legal loopholes and workarounds to basically farm the fish, then let them go and then catch them again, and now it's wild caught. It's just such a mess.
In general, it's pretty crazy that it looks so rotten a lot of times, and then they'll put in a solution, they'll inject it with chemicals, sodium.
I want to get out of America, man, I really do. The seafood here is just complete garbage. It's garbage. It's filled with heavy metals. It's mostly factory farmed. It's just absolute garbage. I want to move somewhere with, some clean seafood that's fresh caught, that would be affordable because, it's in excess, it's replete. Would be amazing, man. I definitely want to get out of America. Currently, I live in Ohio at the moment. It's not it.
Tripolyphosphate, and they'll put it in a carbon monoxide bath to make it change from dark brown, gray to bright pink. That's not fresh fish that we're being fed. And they don't have to label these things. I'm just going to stick to grass-fed beef. If you guys want to eat fish, that's fine, but know the quality of what you're getting. Preferably get it fresh because that's gross. And
I've said it before, ruminant animals are really God's gift to us because they can turn polyunsaturated fatty acids into saturated animal fat. And when we look at the analysis of even grain-fed beef, it's pretty good. The linoleic acid content's pretty low. So, beef is your best friend in this modern society. I'll tell you that.
And I don't want to eat fish with all those things in it. And I want fish that is actually red and orange.
Did you know that it's essentially illegal to make an infant formula without seed oils? This is because of the FDA regulations for seed oils. This has to change, guys. These are a train wreck for your baby's brain. We know that.
Why would you ever feed your baby something from a company instead of feeding it your breast milk? How stupid are people?
55 to 66% of infants are fed formula. Breast milk is...
I mean, ideally, you actually breastfeed your child for 3 years. 3 years is how long? And before you have a child, you should have an ideal diet for years and years before you even have a child to make sure, you know, your body has a lot less toxins, you have the proper nutrition stored up. And of course, while you're having a baby, you should continue to be eating egg yolks, wild caught fatty fish with low heavy metals, beef, a small amount of organs, use some dairy, you know, that should be your core of your diet. Of course, the dairy should be A2 and raw if you have any. Don't eat it. It's not required. Then you will have a child with proper development. You will have a tall, healthy, and at least in terms of attractiveness, maxed out child. That's all you have to do.
Is obviously best, but if you're feeding your infant formula to your baby, you need to...
People are so dumb now in America. They have no idea about nutrition. They don't understand anything. They just will go to the store and just pick out something and feed to their kid. It's just an education issue. And of course, our schools, they don't teach us anything about that. If they did, they'd be teaching you that the very lunch they serve you is toxic. So that wouldn't go over well, I suppose.
To know that this contains 25 to 275 times more oxidized lipids. There's a study, I'll put a link to it right here. It's clearly been shown. This is the problem with these infant formulas. They're full of seed oils. So what's the solution? I mean, look, breast milk is clearly the best thing for your baby, but if you have to feed your baby infant formula, I don't have a perfect solution for you. But it's my hope that I will be able to work with RFK Jr. and the current administration to get the FDA guidelines that require seed oils in infant formula, every single one.
Why does it exist? Why are people having kids and then not breastfeeding them? These, like, dude, you literally have contraceptives. You should not be having a kid unless you're going to provide them with food for them. The proper food. That should be a bare minimum. It should be illegal to not breastfeed your child. It should be illegal to even consume certain substances while you're pregnant. Ridiculous.
Change. So now is the time to make a change, guys. This is not great for infants developing brains to have seed oils and oxidized
no
lipids
shit, man. Yeah.
infant formula, but most mothers. This is a day in my life in the year 2035. I'm still surfing every single morning. Got to get out in the ocean.
Why?
Then you can go get a coffee.
Why would you exercise for no reason to not complete a task every single day? Makes no sense.
At Starbucks, and look, they even make it for you in glass. They'll also put raw milk in it for you. At work, all of the LED light bulbs that flicker and that are stressful for my eyes and give me a headache have been replaced by incandescents. It's normal at work to take breaks in the middle of the day, to walk outside barefoot, to get sunlight in your eyes, to get a little movement with your coworkers.
Do you actually get antioxidants from grounding to the earth?
And get some grounding in. For lunch, I could go...
It actually is valid. It's not a hippie thing. There are actually measurable scientific benefits to having your feet touch the earth.
To McDonald's drive-thru and get spring water in glass, along with a grass-fed beef burger, raw cheese, banana, and avocado. Healthy food is easy to get. All clothing is made from natural fibers like wool and cotton because
this will never happen.
Polyester is completely illegal.
I really think this will just never happen. I hope I'm wrong, but...
Legal. And pharmacies give out organ capsules to people instead of medications as a first line because nutrition is everything.
I think the best thing we could see that could be somewhat probable is actual food restrictions on companies of what they can put in the store. Like, maybe you could walk into a store and not see 90% seed products, aka, you know, a lot of chips and crisps and bread and just seeds crushed up. Maybe you could walk in a store and actually see just a significant portion of meat, dairy, maybe fruit if you want, things like that. You know, I think around 95% of a store at the moment is just pure garbage food. You have, you know, some decent delis and, you know, sushi areas and some grocery stores. But the biggest thing I could see is keep spreading the education of how, at the bare minimum for any human, if you want carbs or not, who cares? The bare minimum for every human should be a large portion of animal foods. As this education spreads, when there is more demand, we will see a bigger supply. And the best thing we could hope for, maybe in a decade, when you go into a grocery store, a large option is animal foods. That's the best thing I could really hope for.
I'm the Director of Government Relations for the American Heart Association. I'm here to testify today in opposition to Senate Bill 379. The Heart Association is concerned about potential impacts of this bill on participation and population health. Imposing nutritional restrictions will interfere with the primary function of SNAP, reducing hunger, without reducing root causes of chronic disease.
I often say that I can never be surprised in this building, but for the American Heart Association to be against this bill.
This, my friends, is what corruption looks like. They are against removing soda, cookie, candies, and chips from food stamps because that would not address the root cause of disease. That's crazy. Large organizations.
Yeah, of course, the American Heart Association is literally a propaganda company meant to kill people. Obviously, that's why they have demonized saturated animal fat and cholesterol instead of seed oils. They put the heart healthy label on seed oils, and then they demonize animal foods, which is the natural human diet. It's already been proven by stable isotope carbon analysis. The long bones of ancient humans, it's already proven. And you look at our nutritional requirements, you look at meat, it's obviously proven. You look at what saturated animal fat and protein can do in terms of creating glucose versus exogenous glucose. It's beyond a doubt to me now that I understand everything. So of course, these corrupt corporations want you to be sick and funnel you into the pharmaceutical industry and funnel you into all of these sort of unhealthy foods. It's almost like a marketing funnel into killing people and extracting money from them. That's all it is.
Like the American Heart Association have been lobbying our lawmakers.
I mean, we all know about Kellogg's and what Dr. Kellogg, his main goal was to stop men from masturbating by lowering their testosterone. That's why he created Kellogg's cereal. You can look into this. It's true. He was a very religious guy. He was very brainwashed.
To keep processed junk foods, which clearly contribute to obesity, diabetes, chronic illness, heart disease, dementia, Alzheimer's, all of these things on the SNAP food stamps program. Send this to people who are going to write to their lawmakers. These foods should be removed from the food stamps program immediately, and you should be very skeptical of organizations like the American Heart Association. They do not have your best interest in mind for your health. This is corruption.
All right, guys, that was Paul Saladino. Honestly, I think my title or my idea kind of remains Close But No Cigar. He is promoting a lot of really good ideas. He's one of the best mainstream doctors I've ever seen, no doubt. Again, he doesn't fully understand what I think is the ideal diet for most of the year. He doesn't really see fruit and dairy as a supplement. He sees it as a core addition to the diet, like having lots of fruit every single day, which I don't think is ideal. Again, if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe and check out my other content if you want to learn more about health and nutrition. This video right here, the exact looks maxing plan I used to transform Devin's face, that will give you a really good plan to sort of improve your health and looks. It's free information. Just click the link down below or check out my channel. Watch this. I'm going to teach you guys exactly how to improve your health for free. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.